The city of Charleston recently celebrated its latest affordable housing project, the James Lewis Jr. Apartments, here at 89 Hanover Street in downtown Charleston. Today, I talk one-on-one with former Charleston City Council member James Lewis Jr. for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Councilman James Lewis Jr., welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. It's always a pleasure to be with you, brother, and try to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are a former Charleston City Councilman representing District 3.
Yes, I served Charleston City Council for 24 years on District 3.
Wow. So, from the time that you left City Council to now, Councilman, what is the biggest difference about Charleston City Council?
Well, one thing, we have a new mayor. The other thing is that development seems to be just taking off in this city with such big buildings. Charleston just don't look like the Charleston it used to be when I served on City Council 24 years ago.
From 24 years ago to right now, Councilman, what was the vision about this future development?
Well, we always looked to build affordable housing. We looked for people to come to Charleston, but I think it just got a bunch of us. We just didn't understand that this day would come that we would have such big, tall buildings to just take away from the skyscraper of the city of Charleston.
Was there proper planning in your mind?
They were planning to build housing, but there weren't no planning to build the buildings, the type of buildings that we got in Charleston now, not to my knowledge.
And back then, what type of buildings were they actually planning to actually build?
Well, they were planning to build a certain size buildings, except hotels. You know, we are flooded with hotels in the city of Charleston. But when these other apartment buildings begin to come up to serve the college students and the baby boomers, we know that probably would come in the future. We didn't think the buildings would be as tall as it is. And so they have to keep changing the zoning to fit some of the neighborhoods that they want to build these buildings in.
Now that we're here in 2024, Councilman, what type of zoning would be ideal for the growth that's coming here to Charleston?
I don't think there'd be an ideal for what growth, because we never know what type of growth is going to come in the future. But they have to deal with the planning that's on the books, or either the city would have to change the zoning, and that takes public hearing and different things like that. And other change the zoning in the neighborhoods.
Wow. You talk about those neighborhoods. When you look around the city right now, Councilman, what type of neighborhoods would be ideal for that type of change in zoning?
Well, for the type of buildings that we got now, I think most of them are built where they at, farther out north of the city, over by the waters, west of the Ashley, but within the peninsula itself, I don't think we need a bunch of buildings over 5 or 6 story high.
Wow. Now, when you how many of those buildings now do you see that are a problem, that looks like it's going to be a problem in the future, being near the water or elsewhere?
I don't think there'd be a problem. I just think some of them are just too tall.
Too tall, wow.
Right.
And speaking of tall, and speaking obviously of affordable housing and apartments, of course, the city of Charleston just recently celebrated the completion of its latest affordable housing project, the James Lewis Jr. Apartments. Of course, they had a ribbon-cutting ceremony here 3 weeks ago at the James Lewis Apartments here at 89 Hanover Street. The completion, the city says, is a significant milestone for affordable housing solutions within the community. Let me ask you this, Councilman. What were those affordable housing solutions prior to this project?
Well, we always look to build affordable housing, but you can't do single or multi-family housing. So this is an example of how the city needs to build affordable housing in the future and areas that would accommodate a building of this size. And you know, this building is sitting on the site where the old Cooper River Bridges used to come down, so it was an ideal site to put this type of building.
And tell me about the state of, what exactly is the state of affordable housing now?
But you know, glad you answered that question. I read an article on yesterday in the Post-Courier, and low to moderate income now is considered $51,000 to $58,000. So there ain't such thing really much as low income housing, because a lot of people that's working people can't afford that word that they used to be affordable housing. And they don't say low income too much no more. They always say affordable, and it's not affordable for the people who are working, making minimum wage or above.
Is it accessible housing?
The definition that they use for affordable would never change, but I guess this is the best word that they can come up with.
Wow. You know, what is really needed for the city of Charleston, particularly in the peninsula now? Is it affordable housing or is it workforce housing?
Affordable housing and workforce housing, I think, would be closely the same definition, because you have to look at the persons that's owning, earning. I guess the average person, especially African Americans, are working. You know, Charleston is built on service jobs and hotel and motels and stuff like that. And I think the average person probably don't make no more than $20,000, $25,000 to $30,000 a year after they work making that much, and they just can't afford to have a decent place to live because it's hard to find one.
Well, Councilman, let me ask you this. Where is the infrastructure and the land for more housing that you just mentioned?
I think the city had one more parcel in this area, and they're looking now to do affordable housing, mostly west of Ashley, because there ain't too much more land in the city of Charleston that the city could get to build affordable housing. But they were just fortunate enough to get this developer to work with them to build it, which was called a public-private partnership. The developer built it, and they will lease it for a certain amount of years. I think it's either 20 or 25 years until they recoup their money back, and then they'll turn it over to the city, and the city will be the sole owner of it.
And how much money would the city be able to get back from, once they become the owner and start developing money?
That's a question that I can't ask, and you know, things change over the years, so it's hard to put a price on them to anything in the future. Yes, sir.
Louis, Councilman, you talked obviously about, you know, the last little bit of land, and you talked obviously about public-private partnerships. So when it comes to workforce housing, which private-public partnership would be ideal for that?
Well, the city gets whoever they could get to work with them, and then you just, you know, too much of these developers now don't want to work with the city because they want to make the money for themselves, and they don't want to be bothered with low income to moderate income housing. So it's just very difficult to get it, and the HUD money is drying up. You know, this property here, there's a lot of housing money for the Department of Housing and Redevelopment has been put with this. So, but it's very difficult now, really, just to get monies to build affordable housing.
So what should be the city's strategy now that HUD money's drying up and they're trying to develop more attainable and affordable housing?
The only strategy that the city has is to try to work with monies that they could get from HUD and the money that they could get through the private sector, from the hotels and motels when they build, versus build mass amount of public buildings. They give the city a certain amount of money to help with affordable housing. So that's all that they have.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. In what ways should the city create and preserve new and existing dedicated affordable units?
Well, the city would love to create it, but again, it's very difficult for them to create it because of the cost of land that's going up in the city, the Tri-County area. So it's a very difficult thing for them to do, but they do the best that they probably can.
And with the recent growth in the region, what is that housing supply overlook that you see?
In this region,
yes, sir.
In the future, I wouldn't even try to predict it. You know, that's why if you look at Charleston County itself, most people are moving out of the city of Charleston and North Charleston, moving to Goose Creek, Somerville and else areas because they were difficult to live because of the cost of rent. And now those particular areas now, people moving in here from up north and other areas, California and places like this where they're having mass destruction with tornadoes and floodings. So therefore they're moving to Charleston and the poor people that have the money are buying up the housing and the land. So it's very difficult now for anybody to live in the city of Charleston. Basically, my thing is Charleston County period, with the cost of housing and cost of land.
That brings me to my next question, Councilman. How should the city balance the goals of promoting homeownership and actually increase the availability of affordable renting housing at the same time?
The city can't balance it. They do the best that they possibly can with the little bit of monies that they get from her. But the city does not, as you know,
Yes.
the city does not put tax dollars into affordable housing.
Right. That's right. So since they can't, put tax dollars into affordable housing, and of course HUD's money's drying out, what should be their, funding sources coming soon?
Well, again, they just have to look for the private sector developers and stuff to help them. That's what the best they can do.
Wow. What can they do now with housing?
They're doing the best they can with a little bit of land that they got. Like I said, we have another piece of land across about a block from here on the same parcel.
Right.
So hopefully they'll build some affordable housing one day on that. But getting the money to build affordable housing is very difficult. You have to have the private-public partnership. If you look at the housing authority, they are having problems because of what they call the RAD program, which was implemented during the time of President, not the president that we have, but the president that's running now against the president that we have. I don't like to call his name because, So it's very difficult. And if you look at it, the most of the people not move in this building move here with Section 8 certificates because they have to move out of public housing because of the RAD program.
Wow. And how many of those people who have with those certificates actually moved in here?
Well, I don't have the exact number. The Gianna probably could give you that number, but I don't have that number.
And going back to you, obviously, Councilman, as I mentioned earlier, they just had the dedication of the James Lewis Jr. Apartments, which obviously sits here at 89 Hanover Street. When you look at where the construction of these apartments started to right now, where are you emotionally?
Well, first, I think it took us about what? We started maybe about a year before the pandemic came, and it was slow back. The price of construction material went through the roof, so that slowed it down too. But I am very excited, and the city is very excited that we were able to get these apartments completed and get people to move into it. And again, because it's a very difficult thing to build affordable housing within the city.
And as you mentioned, and you just brought it up just recently as well at the ribbons cutting ceremony, but you said, the city can only do so much with affordable housing. What is your message right now to those residents who really need help from the city?
Well, first, the residents who are living in this building, I hope that they would really thank God for it, appreciate it, and do the best that they can to take care of the apartments that they live in, because nice, affordable places are very hard to find. I don't think you'll ever find a beautiful building as beautiful as this one, and I am very proud that I could say that I've been a part of making sure that the city get this land after the state tore down the Cooper River bridges. It's very difficult to get it, but we got this land and the property that South Carolina State University have at the end of the street that was given to the city of Charleston through the city, and it's very difficult. And I just thank God that the people who are here are able to be here and hope that they take care of it. Whether the city would be able to build another property, affordable housing in this area again, I don't know, because it's very difficult to get the money to do it. But I'm hoping one day that they will build some more housing on the property about a block away from here, on the other side of Hanover Street.
It seems like, Lou, you all are going back to the old days when there were obviously accessibility to low-income housing. Now that you have this, how do you sustain this community?
When you talk about low-income housing, you're talking about 30, 40, 50 years ago. To me, there ain't such thing as say Charleston no more. and I don't think there will ever be.
Wow.
Not with the price of land, how expensive land is in the city. You got to look at it now. The city, when I was on city council, when I first started, I think the college of Charleston probably was somewhere between 7,000 to 9,000 students. Now I think the college somewhere up to 11 or 12,000 students, and student housing is hard for the students to find, so they're moving into the neighborhoods, and the landlords are taking advantage of that by raising the rent. So again, it's hard for the working people to find housing to live in the city. And you know, they got these housing now that instead of going in a hotel, people doing this rental housing. They're renting, and it's just ridiculous.
If you were back on city council, councilman, how would you change the zoning codes and the city codes to make certain that these landlords don't take advantage of the students?
Well, I don't think that one person could change it. And especially in the African American communities, we don't have the count on city council to change anything. So whatever those folks, the elite, the rich folks, go to the city with, if they want to change zoning, they got the money, they fight the city, and most of the time they want to get the zoning changes. And I don't think the zoning will ever be the way it was 50 years ago. I think you will see the zoning continue to change differently than it is now. If you look at the waterfront property over there, if you look at West of Ashley, where they tore down the whole Piggly Wiggly and Suwach Street, all those properties now, it's very expensive and difficult to build affordable housing in it.
If you were back on city council, would you put affordable housing on that property on Suwach Street?
I doubt if you could put it there, you could put housing there, but I don't think you could put affordable housing there. But I think it's a very dangerous area for the traffic to put affordable housing if you can. But I don't think you'll see, my belief, I don't think you'll ever see housing go there.
Is the affordable housing even affordable in West Ashley?
In some areas, it's a little better than it is downtown in the city of Charleston, but there isn't such thing again as really, really, really affordable. Not for the people that's working in the city of Charleston, the majority, especially the African Americans who are working in these service businesses, the hotels, the motels, the medical use, the city, the Citadel, those people are not making enough money to even buy a house in the city of Charleston, much more rent affordable housing.
Now, how many of those people are renting versus the actual homeowners?
Well, that's a figure that we don't have.
Okay. And going back, obviously, to James Lewis apartments, James Lewis Jr. apartments, I asked you earlier, but what goes to your mind when you think of this apartment building?
Well, again, I am very happy and proud that it's there. I'm very happy that the state of South Carolina had worked with the city of Charleston to make sure that we have this piece of property. I am very thankful that the city got with the developers that built this building to build it to make it affordable for the persons that have it.
Former City of Charleston Councilman James Lewis Jr., thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Cold House.
Well, I thank you, Quintin. I thank you for the great job that you're doing to make the people in the city of Charleston as aware of the things that are happening in the surroundings, not only for affordable housing, but so many issues you have covered over the years. And I hope you will continue to do the good work.
Absolutely, definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.